When I sing, it brings me joy because I used to sing a lot. When I was young, I used to do musical theater, high school plays, things like that. I came out twice, first as a gay man, and secondly as having a diagnosis of bipolar disorder. It was 28 years ago. I was living in San Francisco. I was closeted. I became extremely depressed. I couldn't leave my room. When I actually came out, the suicidal ideation really went away because I started to see that there was, there's a whole world out here. I'm 54 now. That was when I was 24. And all that I've accomplished since then, that would have been really sad to know that my mother, my father, my brothers would be looking each year at an anniversary as suicide loss survivors. I have been a volunteer with NAMI-NYC. It's almost 20 years. When I first heard about NAMI-NYC, I had been on a roller coaster ride for about 8 years, many hospitalizations. I would typically wake up early in the morning, have a manic episode. By the end of the day, I would be depressed, suicidal, and end up hospitalized. Those were all so traumatic. I don't know where I would have had to go. I always think of NAMI and NYC in terms of education, advocacy, support. I can get through this. I can come through this. There is that myth that if you talk about feeling suicidal, that it's going to actually make them more suicidal. Everybody that comes to the group is living with suicidal ideation. And just to be able to talk about it, it's been a lifesaver. It really has been a lifesaver. I love being a volunteer. To me, resilience means bouncing back. To me, resilience means going through possibly very, very, very tough times, but not giving up.
When I was 23 years old, I was diagnosed with severe depression and also post-traumatic stress disorder. I've continuously sought support, but I always thought that was through just the conventional methods of, a doctor and you get a therapist. I actually ran across NAMI-NYC City, and they were offering the peer-to-peer. It had, a community to help me through my process and just knowing I wasn't alone. This was the first group that I had ever joined discussing mental illness. And then soon after completing my peer-to-peer, I lost my son to suicide. He was brilliant. He was handsome. He was kind. He was so convicted as a young person. He thought he knew everything. He was a good friend. He was an old soul. He was working in youth advocacy when he passed away. And so I was very proud of him because while he himself struggling with his own challenges, he still found space and voice to give voice to others. Even as I had a diagnosis for years, still didn't know what to do when my son started to exhibit symptoms. As a parent, I went along with what I was told was the right thing to do for him. So the idea of him being able to push through was what we expected, right? And that never seemed to happen. He struggled maintaining employment. He struggled finishing high school. And then substances got into play. Immediately after I lost my son, I knew who to turn to. I didn't realize how prevalent suicide is in the Black and brown community, especially amongst young adults. Having a group to be able to hold space for those really sensitive parts, raw parts, was very different. Being able to be in community with people who had that same experience definitely has gotten me through. And the voices of people who are struggling with mental illness need to be heard. Maybe partly because I lost my son. It gives me the fire to do this work, but also because I lived with the experience. I'm working to build a foundation in his name. Getting up every day and knowing the impact that I have, there's no other work I could do. And after NAMI, I'm extremely proud of myself, my resiliency, who I am. And even losing my son, I'm still grateful for life. NAMI gives me that space. I am resilient.
We are resilient.